Two friends, same job, same salary. At the beginning, there was no difference between them. No advantage. No head start. No special opportunity. Just two young men, standing at the exact same starting line. But 5 years later, everything changed. One of them was broke, stressed, always worried about money. The other? Calm, stable, quietly wealthy. Not flashy, not loud, just secure. So what made the difference? Meet Daniel and Michael. They graduated the same year, from the same university. They attended the same classes, wrote the same exams, and walked across the same stage on graduation day. On that day, they stood side by side, smiling, hopeful, and full of dreams. Dreams of success, dreams of freedom, dreams of a better life. A few months later, they both got hired by the same company. Same role, same responsibilities, same salary. On their first day at work, they walked into the office together. Everything felt new. The building, the people, the possibilities. They looked at each other and smiled. This was it, the beginning of something great. At the end of their first month, they both got paid. Their very first real salary. For many people, that moment is unforgettable. And for Daniel and Michael, it was no different. Daniel stared at his phone as the alert came in. He smiled. A deep, satisfied smile. Finally, his own money. Money he earned. Money he could spend. He leaned back and thought to himself, I've worked hard for this. I deserve to enjoy it. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. So he did what many people would do. He bought a new phone, upgraded his wardrobe, went out on weekends, ate at nicer places. Nothing extreme, nothing irresponsible, just small rewards for his hard work. And in that moment, it felt good, really good. Michael saw the same alert on his phone, same amount, same excitement. But his reaction was different. He didn't rush to spend it. He paused, sat quietly, and thought, I need to make this money work for me. It wasn't a big decision. It wasn't dramatic. He simply chose to be intentional. So he did 3 simple things. He saved a small portion. He invested a little. And he spent what was left, carefully. Nothing extreme. No sacrifice that looked painful. Just small, quiet discipline. At first, nothing seemed different. Both of them went to work every day. Both of them earned the same salary. Both of them lived their lives. In fact, if anything, Daniel looked happier. He dressed better. He went out more. He seemed to enjoy life more. From the outside, it looked like he was winning. Michael still lived simply, still careful, still disciplined. No flashy lifestyle. No obvious upgrade. If you compared them at that time, you would probably choose Daniel's life because it looked better. But life doesn't always reveal the truth immediately. Sometimes the real difference is invisible, and it takes time to show itself. As the months passed, and then years, something subtle began to happen. Daniel's lifestyle started to grow. Not suddenly, but gradually. Whenever his salary increased, his spending increased too. A better phone, more expensive clothes, nicer restaurants, more comfort. Each upgrade felt justified. Each expense felt small. And over time, it became his normal. He wasn't trying to be reckless. He was just adjusting to a better life. But there was one problem. His money came in and went out just as fast. No matter how much he earned, it never stayed. Meanwhile, Michael stayed the same. Month after month, he kept following the same simple pattern. Save a little, invest a little, spend wisely. At first, it didn't seem like much. Nothing dramatic happened. No sudden wealth. No big breakthrough. Just consistency. Quiet consistency. And for a long time, it looked like nothing was working. But then, slowly, things began to change. Not overnight. Not suddenly. But gradually. The money he invested started to grow. At first, it was small. Almost unnoticeable. But over time, it became something more. Because of something powerful. Something most people underestimate. Time. Time began to multiply his efforts. Small amounts became bigger. Small discipline became visible results. And the longer he stayed consistent, the faster things began to grow. Not fast, but steady. And steady is powerful. Meanwhile, Daniel faced something unexpected. One day a problem came. An expense he didn't plan for. Something urgent. Something he couldn't ignore. He reached for his phone, opened his account, and checked his balance. Nothing. No savings. No backup. No safety net. Just numbers that disappeared as quickly as they came. For the first time, he felt it. Pressure. Stress. Uncertainty. So he did what many people do in that situation. He borrowed money. Not because he wanted to, but because he had no choice. And from that moment, things became harder. Because once you start depending on borrowed money, it becomes a cycle. 5 years later, everything changed. Daniel was still working, still earning, still trying. But now, he was tired, stressed, stuck. His income had increased, but so had his problems. Bills, debt, pressure, and no real progress. Michael? Still the same calm person, but now different. Not in appearance, not in lifestyle, but in position. He had savings. He had investments. He had something Daniel didn't have. Options. And that changed everything. Because when you have options, you have freedom. Opportunities started coming to him. Not because he was chasing them, but because he was ready for them. He could take risks. He could make decisions. He could move forward without fear. And that's when the real difference became clear. It was never about how much they earned, because they earned the same. It was never about luck, because they had the same opportunities. It was about one thing: how they used what they had. Daniel spent his money. Michael grew his money. Daniel chased comfort. Michael built freedom. Daniel focused on now. Michael invested in the future. And over time, those small decisions created two completely different lives. Because wealth is not built in one big moment. It's not built in luck. It's not built in shortcuts. It's built in small decisions, repeated daily, over time, quietly, consistently. And most people miss it because it doesn't look exciting. It doesn't look dramatic. It looks ordinary. But that's where the real power is. In the ordinary choices, in the daily habits, in the discipline no one sees. Because in the end, wealth is not about how much you make. It's about what you keep, what you grow, and what you allow time to multiply. Did this story inspire you? Follow for more.